Have you ever noticed how we obsess over our bodies? We count calories, track steps, measure muscle gain, and follow endless fitness routines. We've created entire industries around physical appearance and physical health. Yet the 3-pound universe sitting between our ears, the very organ responsible for every experience, every emotion, every memory you'll ever have, remains largely ignored until something goes wrong. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into perhaps the most important conversation we could ever have: how to protect, nourish, and optimize the command center of your entire existence, your brain. This isn't just another health video. This is about reclaiming ownership of the most sophisticated structure in the known universe. Because while everyone wants to take care of their body, almost no one takes proper care of their brain. Before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time you actively did something specifically for your brain health? Not your productivity, not your mood, but the actual physical and functional health of your brain. If you're struggling to answer, you're not alone. And that's exactly why we need to have this conversation. The truth is, we've been conditioned to obsess over how we look rather than how we think and feel. We've been taught to care about the visible rather than the invisible. Today, we're going to challenge that conventional narrative and explore what it truly means to invest in the organ that makes you, you. Let's start by understanding what brain health actually is, because it's far more comprehensive than most people realize. Brain health isn't just the absence of disease. It's not merely about avoiding dementia or preventing stroke. True brain health encompasses optimal cognitive function, emotional regulation, stress resilience, memory formation, creative capacity, and neuroplasticity, your brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Your brain is not a static organ. It's constantly changing, adapting, creating new neural pathways while pruning away unused ones. It's the ultimate adaptive system, shaped by everything you do, think, eat, and experience. This process continues throughout your entire life, not just during childhood as once believed. What makes brain health so fascinating is that it exists at the intersection of physical and mental well-being. The false dichotomy between physical and mental health has done us tremendous disservice. Your thoughts affect your physical brain structure, and your physical brain condition affects your thoughts. They are inseparable aspects of the same system. This brings us to why brain health matters more than perhaps any other aspect of wellness. Your brain doesn't just control your body, it is the filter through which you experience reality itself. The quality of your brain function determines the quality of your entire life experience. Think about it. When your brain operates at its best, you think more clearly, you solve problems more effectively, you regulate emotions more successfully, you experience more joy, you connect more deeply with others, and you navigate life's challenges with greater resilience. When your brain is compromised, everything suffers. Your work, your relationships, your happiness, your very sense of self. And yet our society has normalized various forms of brain abuse. We celebrate pulling all-nighters, we romanticize stress, we've created a culture that views sleep as a luxury rather than a biological necessity. We've normalized levels of anxiety, distraction, and mental fragmentation that would have been unimaginable to previous generations. This brings us to an uncomfortable truth. Many common aspects of modern life are actively damaging our brains. Let's explore these brain health killers with unflinching honesty. First, and perhaps most pervasive, chronic stress. Your brain evolved to handle acute stress, the kind that comes and goes quickly. The fight-or-flight response was designed to help you escape immediate physical danger, not to remain activated for weeks, months, or years on end. When stress hormones like cortisol remain elevated for extended periods, they actually begin to kill brain cells, particularly in the hippocampus, your brain's memory center. Chronic stress literally shrinks your brain over time. It impairs neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, disrupts neural connectivity, and accelerates brain aging. This isn't just theoretical. Brain scans of people suffering from chronic stress show measurable changes in brain structure and function. Your body cannot distinguish between being chased by a predator and being overwhelmed by work deadlines or financial worries. The physiological response is the same, and it's devastating to your brain over time. The second major brain killer is poor sleep. We've been conditioned to view sleep as non-productive time, as something to minimize in pursuit of greater productivity. This perspective is not just wrong, it's dangerously backward. During sleep, your brain performs essential maintenance processes that cannot happen while you're awake. It clears out metabolic waste through the glymphatic system, a recently discovered cleanup mechanism that activates primarily during deep sleep. One of these waste products is beta amyloid, the protein that forms the plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. Sleep is also when your brain consolidates memories, moving information from short-term to long-term storage. It's when neuroplasticity occurs most actively, allowing for learning and adaptation. A single night of poor sleep reduces your cognitive capacity by approximately 30%. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to accelerated brain aging, reduced brain volume, and significantly increased risk of dementia. Yet we continue to sacrifice sleep for productivity, not realizing we're sacrificing the very organ that produces high-quality thought and work. The third major brain killer is poor nutrition. Your brain consumes approximately 20% of your body's energy, despite accounting for only about 2% of your body weight. It's an energy-hungry organ with specific nutritional needs that our modern diets often fail to meet. The standard Western diet, high in processed foods, inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids, refined carbohydrates, and artificial additives, creates a state of chronic low-grade inflammation that damages brain tissue over time. Studies have linked this dietary pattern to accelerated brain aging, cognitive decline, and increased risk of dementia. Sugar deserves special mention here. Your brain runs primarily on glucose, but excessive sugar consumption leads to blood sugar volatility that damages brain cells, impairs cognitive function, and accelerates brain aging. Some researchers now refer to Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes due to the strong connection between insulin resistance and cognitive decline. The fourth major brain killer is environmental toxins. We're exposed to an unprecedented number of neurotoxic chemicals in our modern environment, from heavy metals like lead and mercury to pesticides, air pollutants, plastics, and thousands of industrial chemicals that were never tested for their effects on the human brain. Many of these compounds cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in brain tissue, disrupting neural function, damaging mitochondria, your cellular energy factories, and triggering neuroinflammation. The effects are often subtle at first, perhaps a mild cognitive fog or slight attention problems, but accumulate over decades, potentially contributing to neurodegenerative conditions. The fifth brain killer is sedentary living. Your brain evolved under conditions of regular physical movement. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products. It stimulates the release of growth factors like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often called miracle grow for the brain, which supports neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. Physical inactivity not only deprives your brain of these benefits, but also contributes to vascular problems that compromise brain health over time. The brain is extraordinarily dependent on proper blood flow, and anything that compromises vascular health, like the atherosclerosis that often develops in sedentary individuals, ultimately compromises brain function. The sixth brain killer is chronic inflammation. Neuroinflammation, inflammation within the brain itself, is now recognized as a key driver of nearly every neurodegenerative condition, from Alzheimer's to Parkinson's. It's also implicated in depression, anxiety, brain fog, and cognitive decline. Modern lifestyles trigger inflammatory processes through multiple pathways. Stress, poor diet, environmental toxins, disrupted sleep, gut dysbiosis, and sedentary living all contribute to a state of chronic low-grade inflammation that slowly damages brain tissue over time. The seventh brain killer is social isolation. As deeply social creatures, human brains depend on meaningful connection for optimal function. Loneliness and social isolation are now recognized as stronger predictors of early mortality than obesity or smoking. They're associated with increased inflammation, accelerated brain aging, and heightened risk of dementia. The eighth brain killer is perhaps the most insidious: digital overstimulation. Our brains evolved in environments where sustained attention was both possible and necessary. The constant interruptions, notifications, and fragmenting of attention, characteristic of modern digital life, create a state that neuroscientists call continuous partial attention. This condition trains your brain to seek novelty rather than depth, rewiring neural circuits in ways that make sustained focus increasingly difficult. The endless scrolling through social media triggers dopamine in patterns similar to addiction, potentially altering reward circuitry in the brain. Recent research suggests these changes may be especially problematic for developing brains. But none of us are immune. I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting we should abandon technology or modern life entirely. Rather, I'm pointing out that our brains evolved under radically different conditions than those we now inhabit. And this mismatch creates specific challenges we must consciously address. The good news is that your brain possesses remarkable regenerative capacity. Given the right conditions, it can heal, adapt, and thrive even after years of neglect or damage. So let's shift our focus to how we can actively heal and protect this remarkable organ. The first principle of brain healing is reducing the damage. Before adding positive interventions, we need to minimize exposure to the brain killers we've just discussed. This means actively managing stress, prioritizing sleep, minimizing exposure to environmental toxins, reducing inflammatory triggers, and creating boundaries around digital technology use. Small changes can produce significant results. For example, establishing a consistent sleep schedule that allows for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night can dramatically improve brain function within days. Creating tech-free zones or times in your life can rapidly enhance attention spans and cognitive performance. The second principle is providing optimal nutrition for brain health. Your brain has specific nutritional needs that, when met, allow for repair, regeneration, and optimal function. The Mediterranean and Mind diets have the strongest research supporting their benefits for brain health. These dietary patterns emphasize omega-3 fatty acids from sources like fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds, which provide the building blocks for brain cell membranes and reduce inflammation. Antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables that combat oxidative stress, a major contributor to brain aging. Berries deserve special mention for their ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and provide neuroprotective compounds. Healthy fats from olive oil, avocados, and nuts that support myelin formation, the insulating sheath around nerve fibers that allows for efficient neural transmission. Complex carbohydrates from whole grains and legumes that provide steady glucose supply without the harmful spikes and crashes associated with refined carbohydrates. Prebiotic and probiotic foods that support gut health. The gut-brain connection is now recognized as crucial for brain function, with the gut microbiome influencing everything from neurotransmitter production to neuroinflammation levels. Polyphenol-rich foods like dark chocolate, green tea, and colorful plant foods that have been shown to enhance cognitive function and protect against neurodegeneration. Specific nutrients deserve special attention for their brain protective properties. Magnesium, found in dark leafy greens, nuts, and seeds, is involved in over 600 enzymatic reactions in the body and plays crucial roles in learning, memory, and stress management. B vitamins, particularly B12, folate, and B6, are essential for neurotransmitter production and the regulation of homocysteine, a compound that damages brain cells when elevated. Vitamin D, which functions more like a hormone than a vitamin, has receptors throughout the brain and influences gene expression related to neuroplasticity and neuroprotection. Choline, found in eggs and organ meats, is the precursor to acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter essential for learning and memory. Just as important as what to include is what to minimize. Processed foods, refined sugars, industrial seed oils high in omega-6 fatty acids, and artificial additives have all been linked to compromised brain function and accelerated brain aging. The third principle of brain healing involves movement. Exercise is perhaps the most consistently validated intervention for brain health across the lifespan. It works through multiple mechanisms. Increased cerebral blood flow, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products. Enhanced production of BDNF and other neurotrophic factors that stimulate the birth of new neurons and the formation of new synaptic connections. Reduced inflammation and oxidative stress throughout the body, including the brain. Improved insulin sensitivity, which protects against the cognitive impairment associated with insulin resistance. Optimization of hormone levels that influence brain function, including reductions in stress hormones and increases in feel-good neurotransmitters. Both aerobic exercise and strength training offer brain benefits, with the former particularly effective for increasing BDNF and the latter showing specific benefits for executive function. Even more encouraging, you don't need extreme exercise regimens to see improvements. Studies show cognitive benefits from as little as 30 minutes of moderate exercise several times per week. Movement doesn't always have to mean formal exercise. Activities like dancing, gardening, hiking, or playing actively with children also provide brain benefits. The key is consistent movement rather than prolonged sedentary periods. This brings us to the fourth principle, quality sleep. We've discussed how sleep deprivation damages the brain, but the positive framing is equally important. Prioritizing sleep is one of the most powerful brain-enhancing strategies available to you. During sleep, your brain activates its glymphatic system, essentially a waste clearance mechanism that removes metabolic byproducts accumulated during wakefulness. This system becomes up to 10 times more active during deep sleep, efficiently clearing proteins like beta amyloid that are associated with neurodegenerative diseases. Sleep also allows for memory consolidation, moving information from short-term to long-term storage, and integrating new learning with existing knowledge networks. During REM sleep, your brain processes emotional experiences, helping to reduce negative emotional reactivity. To optimize sleep for brain health, maintain consistent sleep and wake times that align with your natural chronotype, whether you're naturally a morning person or evening person. Create a sleep sanctuary by keeping your bedroom dark, quiet, and cool. Establish a wind-down routine that signals to your brain that it's time to transition from alertness to rest. Minimize blue light exposure in the evening as it suppresses melatonin production and disrupts circadian rhythms. Consider tracking your sleep to identify patterns and issues that might be compromising quality. The fifth principle involves challenging your brain. While physical exercise builds body strength, cognitive challenge builds brain strength. Your brain follows the use it or lose it principle, forming and maintaining neural connections based on demand. Learning new skills is particularly effective for building cognitive reserve, the brain's resilience against aging and disease. Activities that combine multiple forms of challenge are especially beneficial. Learning a musical instrument involves motor skills, pattern recognition, and memory. Learning a new language engages multiple cognitive domains simultaneously. The key is progressive challenge that pushes you just beyond your current capabilities. Too little challenge provides insufficient stimulus for growth. Too much creates stress that impairs learning. The sweet spot is called desirable difficulty, challenging enough to require full engagement, but not so difficult as to trigger frustration. Variety matters too. Doing the same crossword puzzles for years provides diminishing returns as your brain becomes efficient at that specific task. Continuous growth requires continuous novelty and increasing complexity. The sixth principle focuses on emotional well-being. Your emotional life isn't separate from your brain health, it's an integral component of it. Chronic negative emotional states like depression, anxiety, and hostility create neurobiological conditions that compromise brain function and accelerate brain aging. Practices that promote emotional regulation and resilience include mindfulness meditation, which has been shown to increase grey matter volume in brain regions associated with emotional regulation, learning, and memory. Gratitude practices that counter negativity bias and activate reward circuitry in healthier patterns. Self-compassion techniques that reduce the self-critical inner voice that triggers stress responses and inflammation. Social connection with emotionally supportive relationships that buffer against stress and provide neurobiological benefits through the release of oxytocin and other regulatory neurochemicals. purpose and meaning that activate motivation circuits and provide psychological resilience against challenges. The seventh principle involves protecting your brain throughout life. This means adopting a preventive mindset rather than waiting for problems to develop. Protect against physical injury by wearing appropriate safety gear during activities with head injury risk. Traumatic brain injury, even when mild, creates vulnerability to long-term problems. Manage cardiovascular risk factors like hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes, all of which compromise the vascular system that your brain depends on for oxygen and nutrients. Stay mentally active throughout life, especially after retirement, when many people experience a drop in cognitive stimulation. Maintain social engagement, which provides both cognitive stimulation and emotional support that protects against neurodegeneration. Consider regular cognitive assessments as you age to catch subtle changes early when intervention is most effective. Now let's integrate these principles into practical strategies you can implement in your daily life. The first strategy is to create a brain-healthy morning routine. How you start your day sets neurochemical patterns that influence brain function for hours afterward. Consider including morning light exposure, ideally from natural sunlight, which regulates circadian rhythms, enhances mood, and improves sleep quality the following night. Movement that gets blood flowing to your brain. This doesn't need to be intense. Even a short walk or simple stretching sequence provides benefits. A brain-healthy breakfast that stabilizes blood sugar and provides essential nutrients. Examples include eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt with berries and nuts, or a smoothie with protein, healthy fats, and antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables. The third strategy focuses on brain-healthy eating throughout the day. Emphasize stable blood sugar through regular meals containing protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Stay properly hydrated, as even mild dehydration impairs cognitive function. Consider intermittent fasting protocols, which show promising results for brain health through mechanisms like reduced inflammation, enhanced autophagy, cellular cleanup, and improved metabolic flexibility. Include brain superfoods, like fatty fish, blueberries, turmeric with black pepper, dark leafy greens, nuts, and seeds regularly in your diet. The fourth strategy involves exercise optimization for brain benefits. Include both aerobic and resistance training in your weekly routine. Consider high-intensity interval training, HIIT, which has shown particularly strong effects on BDNF levels and cognitive function. Explore mind-body exercises like yoga, tai chi, or qigong that combine movement with breath awareness and mental focus. When possible, exercise outdoors in natural settings, combining the benefits of movement with the cognitive restoration that natural environments provide. The fifth strategy focuses on stress management techniques with proven brain benefits. Practice diaphragmatic breathing several times daily to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and reduce stress hormone circulation. Consider a regular meditation practice, with research suggesting that even 10 to 15 minutes daily provides measurable brain benefits. Implement boundaries around work and digital technology to prevent the chronic stress associated with perpetual availability. Explore practices like progressive muscle relaxation, guided imagery, or autogenic training that activate relaxation responses. The sixth strategy addresses sleep optimization beyond the basics. Consider tracking not just sleep duration, but sleep quality using wearable technology or sleep diary methods. Experiment with sleep-enhancing supplements like magnesium glycinate, L-theanine, or tart cherry juice if needed. Optimize your sleep environment by investing in a quality mattress, breathable bedding, and blackout curtains. Address snoring or sleep apnea symptoms promptly, as these conditions severely compromise brain health through oxygen deprivation. The seventh strategy focuses on cognitive enhancement. Engage in deliberate practice of cognitive skills you want to improve, whether memory, attention, creative thinking, or problem solving. Consider dual task training that challenges you to manage multiple cognitive demands simultaneously. Explore brain training programs with scientific validation rather than commercial hype. Learn new skills regularly, ideally those that combine cognitive, physical, and social elements. The eighth strategy involves social connection optimization. Prioritize depth, over breadth in relationships, as meaningful connections provide greater brain benefits than numerous superficial ones. Practice active listening and curiosity in conversations, which provides cognitive stimulation along with social benefits. Consider volunteer work or community involvement that combines purposeful activity with social engagement. Be deliberate about maintaining friendships as you age, as social networks often shrink during later life, exactly when their protective effects are most needed. The ninth strategy addresses mental and emotional well-being. Develop a relationship with a qualified therapist or counselor before crisis points, establishing a resource for ongoing mental health maintenance. Practice thought awareness and cognitive reframing to reduce rumination and catastrophizing, both of which create harmful stress responses. Cultivate positive emotional states through intentional practices like gratitude journals, acts of kindness, or savoring positive experiences. Develop a relationship with your own mind through regular reflection, journaling, or contemplative practice. The 10th strategy involves environmental optimization. Minimize exposure to neurotoxic substances by choosing organic produce when possible, filtering water, using natural cleaning products, and being cautious with plastic food containers. Create spaces that support cognitive restoration, with research showing benefits from both natural elements and ordered, uncluttered environments. Optimize lighting in your home and workplace, as light quality affects not only vision but also mood, cognitive function, and circadian regulation. Consider noise pollution sources and use sound-absorbing materials or white noise options to create acoustic environments that support focus and reduce stress. As we integrate these strategies into daily life, it's important to acknowledge that perfect implementation isn't the goal. Brain health isn't all or nothing, but exists on a continuum. Every brain-healthy choice moves you in a positive direction, with benefits that compound over time. What's particularly encouraging about brain health is the concept of neural redundancy. Your brain doesn't just have one pathway for any important function, it has multiple. This means that even if some neural circuits become damaged, others can compensate through neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. The earlier you begin prioritizing brain health, the greater your cognitive reserve, the brain's resilience against aging and disease. However, research consistently shows that it's never too late to benefit from brain-healthy practices. Studies demonstrate significant improvements in cognitive function, mood, and brain structure in older adults who implement these strategies, even those who already show signs of cognitive decline. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of brain health is how improvements in one area create positive cascades throughout your entire life. When your brain functions optimally, you make better decisions, regulate emotions more effectively, connect more deeply with others, work more efficiently, and experience greater subjective well-being. This brings us to a paradigm shift worth considering. What if we viewed brain health not as one aspect of wellness, but as the foundation that supports everything else? What if we recognize that the quality of our brain function determines the quality of our entire life experience? The conventional narrative tells us to focus on external markers of success and physical appearance. It sells us quick fixes and surface-level solutions. It fragments our attention across endless distractions. It normalizes levels of stress, sleep deprivation, and digital overstimulation that are fundamentally incompatible with optimal brain function. The alternative perspective recognizes that investing in brain health is the ultimate form of self-care. It acknowledges that your subjective experience of life, your thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and consciousness itself emerges from the physical condition and functional capacity of your brain. When you care for your brain, you're caring for the very foundation of your human experience. This perspective also recognizes the profound interconnectedness of brain health with every other aspect of wellness. Your brain influences your food choices, your movement patterns, your stress management, your sleep quality, your relationship dynamics, and your capacity for joy and meaning. Improvements in brain function create virtuous cycles that enhance every dimension of well-being. Now I'd like to leave you with a practical framework for beginning your brain health journey. This isn't about overwhelming yourself with changes, but about strategic implementation that creates sustainable progress. Start by selecting one practice from each of the major categories we've discussed. One nutrition practice, such as increasing omega-3 intake or reducing refined sugar. One move practice that you can realistically maintain. One sleep optimization strategy. One stress management technique. One cognitive challenge. One social connection practice. Implement these chosen practices for 30 days, focusing on consistency rather than perfection. Track your experience, noting changes in energy, mood, cognitive function, and overall well-being. At the end of 30 days, evaluate your progress and either deepen these practices or add new ones based on your experience. Remember that brain health isn't a destination but an ongoing process. It's not about achieving some idealized perfect state, but about continuously creating conditions that support optimal brain function throughout your life. The brain you have right now is the product of everything you've experienced, thought, felt, eaten, and done up to this point. The brain you'll have in the future is being shaped by the choices you make today. Every meal, every hour of sleep, every minute of movement, every moment of stress or peace is literally changing your brain's physical structure and functional capacity. This realization can be both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it reminds us of our vulnerability and the consequences of our choices. Empowering because it places the trajectory of our brain health largely within our control. I want to close with a question for reflection. What would change in your life if you began making decisions with your brain health as a primary consideration? How might your daily routines shift? How might your relationships transform? How might your sense of self evolve? Because here's the deeper truth. Caring for your brain isn't just about preventing disease or enhancing performance. It's about creating the conditions for a life of clarity, presence, emotional balance, and meaningful connection. It's about experiencing the world through the lens of a well-functioning brain, rather than one compromised by the brain health killers of modern life. Everyone wants to take care of their body, but when you truly understand what's at stake, you realize that taking care of your brain might be the most important investment you'll ever make. Not just for longevity or productivity, but for the fundamental quality of your lived experience. Your brain is the organ of possibility. It's where thoughts form, where creativity emerges, where love is felt, where meaning is made. When you care for your brain, you're caring for your capacity to experience all that makes life worthwhile. So I invite you to begin today. Choose one brain-healthy practice from what we've discussed and implement it consistently. Notice the effects. Build from there. Your future self, experiencing life through a well-nourished, well-rested, well-protected brain, will thank you for starting now. If you found value in this video, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. In the comments below, I'd love to hear which brain health practice you're planning to implement first. Until next time, remember, everyone wants to take care of their body, but true wellness begins when you decide to take care of your brain.